always smiling, though it never seemed to reach his eyes. Half delirious, the mate staggered back, fearful of being devoured by those soulless eyes. "You did well," the dark man said, reaching to tuck a heavy purse into the mate's pocket. "We'll see ourselves ashore." "There's some of us still left alive, sir," croaked the mate, looking anxiously toward the signal fires, the warm lights of the town glimmering so close across the water. "We've got to get ashore for a healer." "A healer, you say?" The dark gentleman raised an eyebrow in concern. "Why, my companion here is a healer of sorts. You had only to ask." Looking past him, the mate saw the other man, the weedy one, with the face like a rat's, at work chalking something on the deck. As he straightened from his task, the mate recognized the warning symbol for plague. "Come, Vargolashnazai, isn't there something you can do for this poor fellow?" the dark man called. The mate shuddered as the other man glided toward him. Not once during the voyage had he heard this man speak. When he did, now, the words were unintelligible and seemed to collect in the mate's throat like stones. Gagging, he slumped to the deck. The one called Ashnazai laid a cold hand against his cheek, and the world collapsed in a blaze of black light. Martis stepped clear of the bile spreading out from the dead sailor's mouth. "What about the others?" The necromancer smiled, his fingers still tingling pleasantly from the mate's death. "Dying as we speak, my lord." "Very good. Are the men ready?" "Yes, my lord." Martis took a last satisfied look around the deck of the ravaged vessel, then climbed down to the waiting boat. Cloaked in Ashnazai's magic, they passed the quay and custom house without challenge. Climbing a steep, icy street, they found rooms ready for them at the Half Moon Tavern. Martis and Ashnazai were just settling down over a hot supper in Martis' chamber, when someone scratched softly at the door. Captain Tildus entered with a grizzled man named Urve, Martis' chief spy in Rhiminee for the past 3 years. The man was invaluable, both for his skill and his discretion. Tonight he was dressed as a gentleman merchant, and looked distinguished in velvet and silver. Urve saluted him gravely. "I'm glad to see you safe, my lord. It's nasty sailing this time of year." Martis dismissed Tildus, then waved the spy to a nearby chair. "What have you to report, my friend?" "Bad news and good, my lord. Lady Kasari is dead." "That Laren woman?" asked Ashnazai. "Yes, the Queen's spies attacked her keep about a week ago. She died in battle. Vice-Regent Barian committed suicide over the matter, and there are rumors that the Princess Royal was implicated somehow, though the Queen's taken no action against her. The rest of the faction has gone to ground or fled." "A pity. They might have proved useful. But what about our business?" "That's the good news, my lord. I have new people in place with several influential nobles." "Which ones?" "Lord General Zymanus, for one. Word is he's about to be commissioned with overseeing the lower city fortifications, and one of my men just got himself betrothed to Lady Cora's second daughter, and has the run of the villa. But of particular interest, my lord," Urve paused, leaning forward a little, "I'm in the process of establishing a contact inside the Oreska house." Martis raised an eyebrow. "Excellent. But how? We haven't been able to get a spy in there for years." "Not a spy, my lord, but a turncoat. His name is Pelion E. Earson. He's an actor, and highly thought of at the moment." "What's he got to do with the Oreska?" demanded Vargolashnazai. "He's got a lover there," Urve explained quickly, "a young sorceress said to be the mistress of one or two of the older wizards as well. Her name's Islenestra, and she's got a bit of a reputation around the city. A fiery little catamount with an eye for handsome young men and powerful old ones. This man Pelion is evidently part of her collection. Through him we may be able to get to her and perhaps others. She's not a member of the Oreska herself, but she lives there and has rooms of her own." "I hardly think we need the services of some slut to get us into the place," the necromancer scoffed. "Maybe not," Hervé interrupted, "but this slut numbers the wizard Nysander among her lovers." "Nysander Iezuthra?" Martis nodded approvingly. "Hervé, you've outdone yourself. But what have you told this actor of yours? To him I am Master Goradin, a great admirer of his work. I also understand how important patronage is to a young actor on the rise, and to a certain playwright who's willing to create roles especially for him. In return, my new friend Pelion passes on whatever bit of gossip he picks up around town. He likes the deal, and knows better than to ask too many questions. As long as the gold flows, he's ours." "Well done, Hervé. Spare no expense with him. We must infiltrate the Oreska before spring. You understand? It is imperative." "I do, my lord. Shall I make arrangements for you in Rhiminee?" "No. Nothing's to be arranged in advance. I'll contact you when I need you. For now, keep an eye on Pelion and his sorceress." Hervé rose and bowed. "I will, my lord. Farewell." When he was gone, Martis returned to his interrupted meal, but Vargal Ashnatsai found his appetite had fled. "The Oreska," he thought bitterly, fingering the ivory vial that hung from a chain around his thin neck. That's where they'd gone, the thieves who'd stolen the eye from under his very nose. Martis had nearly killed him that night in Wold. Worse yet, he'd threatened to banish him from their quest. If Martis had entrusted him with the discs in the first place, of course, it would never have happened. But that was a point not worth arguing, not if he cared to live longer than his next word. His standing with Martis had eroded steadily ever since. Even with the power of the eye itself to aid him, he'd been unable to exercise sufficient power over the fugitives to stop them. The Oren Fei had proven infuriatingly resistant to his magics, and when he'd finally succumbed to the Dragorgos attack at the inn, the boy, that wretched boy, had outmaneuvered them, spiriting his partner away before Martis and his men could reach the place. Still holding the vial between his fingers, Vargal Ashnatsai pictured the precious blood-soaked slivers of wood inside, slivers he'd gouged from the floor of the Mycenaean inn, where his Dragorgos had overtaken them. The talisman he'd made with their blood was a powerful guide, so powerful that he'd almost caught them at Keston. But then they'd slipped on ahead by sea, and another's power was growing around them, occluding his own. He'd recognized the resonance of the magic at once. Oreska magic. And so Martis and his men had tracked them by methods thoroughly mundane, while he, a necromancer of the sanctum, rode along like so much useless baggage. Martis had been sanguine. They already knew where the thieves were headed. Result, once again, of Martis' cold-blooded methods rather than his own. One of the river sailors captured after the destruction of the Darter, this at least was Vargal's work, had screamed out with his last breath what they'd needed to know. To be sitting here now, no more than 2 days' ride from the stronghold of his enemies, was maddening. So close, he thought, closing his fist around the vial. Martis saw and guessed his thoughts. Why not scry for them again? Vargal Ashnatsai shifted uncomfortably. It's been the same for weeks now. Martis glanced over at him, much the way any man might look at another who said something mildly surprising. But Martis was not just any man. As his gaze met Ashnatsai's, the necromancer felt a stab of fear. It was not madness he saw in his companion's eyes, never that, but something worse, an obdurate purposefulness, steeped with the shadow of their god. Martis might not have magic, but he had power. He was touched, chosen. Held in that remorseless gaze, Ashnatsai